Have you heard of the Hateful Eight? Well, we're going to be talking about seed oils, and there are about 8 different seed oils that we should not be consuming. These seed oils have sparked significant debate in the health community. Well, it's associated with chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disease, cancer, the list goes on. They can oxidize and they form really harmful free radicals. And that's what's going to damage our body at the cellular level. And guess what? That accelerates aging. A lot of times people say, but I need oil to cook. And you just don't. You're listening to the Visibly Fit podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett. And every week I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a naturopath, fitness expert, and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Visibly Fit podcast. I'm your host, Wendie Pett. I hope you're doing amazing today. On this episode, we are going to dive into what's known as the Hateful Eight. Have you heard of the Hateful Eight? Well, we're going to be talking about seed oils, and there are about 8 different seed oils that we should not be consuming. And really, these seed oils have sparked significant debate in the health community. And I know you're hearing more and more about seed oils, but there's a reason why. Because you're probably hearing terms like omega-6 overload or inflammation, right? Like more at risk for inflammation because of seed oils. And seed oils are in just about everything. It seems like anyway, when you go to the grocery store, unless it's in the produce department, which we're going to talk about that a little bit today too. But should they be a part of your diet? Seed oils? I'm going to say no, but we're going to unpack this. Okay. So what is the definition of seed oils? We're going to talk about that and just talk about really just their influence on your health and how we can maybe have some alternatives that you might want to consider when cooking or just when choosing food in general. Okay, so seed oils are derived from the seeds of various plants. That makes sense, right? Seed oils. They derive from seeds, and often they are grouped together. And like I said, they're known as the Hateful Eight. Now, I want you to kind of think in your mind right now, what might those seed oils be? And maybe you don't know. Maybe it's something that you use a lot already, or maybe you've heard about it and you're seeing it more and more in processed foods. But I'm going to give you a list because there's safflower oil, there's sunflower, there's canola, soybean, cottonseed, grapeseed, corn, and rice bran. Okay, so those are kind of the Hateful Eight. And if you start looking at your the packaging on things that you buy, you're probably going to see that most of the processed foods, if you have them, hopefully you are weeding those out and you're no longer purchasing processed foods. But if you have some, you're going to notice that these are in the foods because they help with shelf life so much, right? And they're very inexpensive. And so food manufacturers really are using a lot of these seed oils, and it really gets our omega-3s and omega-6s way out of balance. And that's what leads to the inflammation. Do we need omega-6? Yeah, in small amounts, but man, it's like topsy-turvy right now with the way in which people are consuming these seed oils. So I know, especially with RFK Jr. coming into play. He's talked a lot about seed oils. You're hearing more and more of it. So that's really why I wanted to talk about it, because a lot of people just really aren't aware, right? And so let's go back to these seed oils and understanding that these oils are typically there's 2 different ways in which there are methods in which they're processed. They are cold pressed, which maintains more of the nutrients and flavor, and chemical solvent extraction. Now, that's where seeds are treated with solvents before being fully refined and deodorized. Now, these oils are common. I mean, they are in your kitchen probably right now as we are having this little conversation. And I want you to become more aware, okay? Because again, the food manufacturers really love seed oils because they're affordable and there's more of a neutral taste, and it allows the high cooking temperatures to be handled better, or so they think, right? Now, they contain polyunsaturated fats. And again, that's going to be that omega-6 fatty acid. And that is what is, um, you know, beneficial in a small amount. But in the Western diet, it's just really it's way topsy-turvy. We need to have more of the omega-3s because these omega-6s are leading to unhealthy balanced diets, and it's promoting major inflammation. And these inflammatory responses, what happens? Well, it's associated with chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disease, the list goes on. Cancer, which is an autoimmune disease. So it's really understanding that it's not one thing that we're consuming, but seed oils are a major thing that we're consuming that is really wreaking havoc on our health. And so what do we do about it? Well, there's a lot of things that we can do about it. But these seed oils, they can oxidize and they form really harmful free radicals. And that's what's going to damage our body at the cellular level. And guess what? That accelerates aging. I don't know about you, but I don't want to accelerate my aging in any way, shape, or form. So if seed oils are one of those things that we can remove and really be aware of and start to have longevity in our years, but also not accelerate that aging even in how we look, then I'm all about it. Aren't you? Okay. So these overall health effects, it really depends on how these oils are fitting into the broader dietary habits. So a lot of times, I'm always preaching whole food plant based, because you're not going to have seed oils in whole food plant based. All right. You're just not going to find them. But where do you normally find them? Again, processed foods. That's going to be like salad dressings, baked items and snacks and chips and cookies and the things that we shouldn't be eating anyway, right? So that's where you find them. So really it's like, okay, let's just start weeding out the processed food, and then you're not going to worry about the seed oils, okay? And then start making things from home, from scratch, and then you're not going to need to worry about the seed oils either, right? And you're not going to have to deal with the inflammatory responses that happen when we consume those seed oils. Just even at a minuscule amount, our bodies respond in a rapid fashion. And just so think about the accumulation of these seed oils in our body over the years and how that has deteriorated our bodies. Now, is it too late for you if you've eaten a lot of processed foods over your lifetime? Absolutely not. And that's the good news. You can start right now. You can go through your cupboards, you can go through your refrigerator and start just getting out the processed foods out of your life, because they really do have a negative effect on your overall health and well-being. And so what are some things that you can do as maybe some alternatives? Okay. We do know, again, that these are seed oils, are vegetable oils. They're extracted from the seeds of various plants. And so what can we replace these Hateful Eight with? I'm going to go over the Hateful Eight with you one more time in case you didn't hear that in the beginning. But safflower oil, sunflower, soybean oil, canola, grapeseed, cottonseed, corn oil, rice bran oil. These are the ones that you definitely want to get out of your life. Okay. But what can you replace them with? Now, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you know that I'm not a big fan of oils at all. I don't believe that we need them to cook with. We don't need them in our diets. Now, I'm all about eating the whole food source that we extract these seed oils from. So for instance, avocado oil, that might be a healthier alternative. But what about just going for the avocado itself? That would be a better idea. What about coconut oil? Absolutely, that's going to be a healthier alternative. But what about just going for the coconut itself? Now, a lot of times people say, but I need oil to cook, and you just don't. I know that I've shared before about how you can cook by heating up your pan really hot and making sure that actually I have a video on that as well. And I will put the link to that video in the show notes. But you can actually heat up a skillet really hot, and you'll know it's really hot by taking like a little sprinkle of water and throw it into the pan. And once you see the water, how it beads up, and it comes to like one big bead, you'll know that, wow, okay, this pan is hot enough. This is going to be great. And whenever you go and, like, for instance, do your stir fries, like I do lots of stir fries, throw in your onions first. Okay. And you're going to want to, stir those onions around really quickly. They will start, the sugars the natural sugars will start to stick to the pan, and that's okay. This is where you're going to get a lot of your flavor. But then you can just add like a little vegetable broth. You turn down the heat, add a little bit of vegetable broth to the skillet, just so it will start to evaporate and pull up those natural sugars, that flavor off of the pan, and just kind of, work your spatula over it. And I promise you will not have onions that are sticking. No, it's amazing. And then you have that solid foundation of of how to start your stir fry. Then you can throw in something like mushrooms, because there's a lot of water in mushrooms. And so you start to get foods in there that will not stick. But having the heated onions is a good start. And again, you don't need oil to cook onions. You don't even need water to cook onions, right? You go ahead and cook them without any oil or water. And then once they've kind of browned a little bit, then you can throw in a tablespoon or two of vegetable broth and scrape the wonderful flavoring off of the bottom of the pan. And then you can put in the rest of your stir fry. So you can do that with almost everything that you cook. Okay. Very rarely will you ever need oil. I mean, I couldn't tell you. It's been years since I've used any oil. Like, I just haven't found a need for it. So there's a way. There is a way. And you really just don't want to, deal with the free radicals, the harmful free radicals that these seed oils put off, right? Because again, it damages our cells and accelerates the aging process. So what can you do instead? Well, you can actually just, again, decide and choose, because sometimes it's just a decision. It's a decision that we are going to dismiss anything that has these hidden seed oils in them. So again, we want a body that doesn't have chronic inflammation. And so in order to have a body that doesn't have chronic inflammation, we need to eat in a way that will be anti-inflammatory, so that those seed oils that are hiding in your daily meals are a problem. And so I would attack that first. I would make sure that you go through all your packaged foods and anything, all the processed foods, and just get rid of it. Get rid of it and start making your own foods from scratch. Seriously. And obviously, that processed foods are fast foods and fried foods and the crackers and all the things that might have used seed oils for an extended shelf life. So what is it in your cupboard that you may be addicted to, that you are like, ooh, you know what? I need to pay attention to these ingredients. I need to pay attention, because in the long run, it's really affecting my overall health and well-being. And is it worth it? I'm going to tell you, no, it's not. It's not worth the offset of having the inflammatory markers turned on in your body and having that chronic inflammation just because your omega-3 and omega-6 ratio is way off. So you can make a big difference by just reducing your intake of seed oils. There are plenty of healthier alternatives. There really are. So what is it that you might need to let go of? What is it? Or is it maybe just the way you're thinking? Maybe you just need to let go of the way you're thinking, ooh, I have to cook with oil. Is that true? No, it's not. Again, go to the link in the show notes and I will show you exactly how you can cook without oil. Um, is it maybe thinking that you have to have a certain snack, or your life's just going to be boring, right? Or it's just not going to be, I don't know, maybe it's just something to consider, like, ooh, maybe you're addicted to something that you are eating, and the addiction is maybe the sugar that's in the product, and also the way in which it has these seed oils, because there is something about the seed oil that is, um, it's actually in a lot of comfort foods, right? But they're counterfeit comfort foods. So again, goes back to the, how are you thinking of those foods? Are they really comforting you, or is it just something that you think is comforting you? Again, you've heard me talk about so often that foods that are unhealthy are not what we're seeking. We're seeking either, maybe an emotional release need. Maybe we are seeking, um, a reminiscent, a connection with people, because sometimes people eat foods because it reminds them of their youth, or reminds them of a certain person in their life, or um, just people in general, because we are people that need people. We should not be living alone, right? And so when we're lonely, we tend to eat those things that give us that counterfeit comfort. And the only comfort that we really should ever lean on is the comfort of our Lord and Savior, right? Right. Yes, but so often we do slip to the counterfeit comforts, whether it's food, or some people shop, some people binge watch TV, or whatever it is. Just starting to notice what you kind of gravitate to will allow you to unpack the reason why, and to change your habits so that you can live a life that really you deserve to be living. Okay. So, I know a lot of people that might be on the Mediterranean diet. And so they're like, ooh, you know what? I especially am going to have oil, especially olive oil, right? And because that's the norm of that lifestyle. But again, those of us that are on whole food, plant-based lifestyle would tell you to just eat the food, the whole food, and avoid the seed oil altogether, because it's the processed part of the plant, and you really just don't need that. So, um, I guess don't get sucked into that line of thinking, right? I don't know. There's controversy over it. There really is, because you're going to have doctors on this side of the fence and others on this side. So you need to do the research yourself and make the decision for yourself. Okay. And also think of, how do you feel when you consume those seed oils versus when you don't consume them. Start to do like an experiment. Go for 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and just start to notice how you feel, how you are no longer foggy headed, how you have more energy, how you are maybe releasing weight. Maybe you don't have the same aches and pains as you did before in your joints. So noticing, and have like a little journal next to you as you are noticing the results of doing this little experiment. And then I would say make your decision from there. But I'm going to be a big fan of getting rid of those seed oils altogether. You can do it. You can really, really do it. Really, that the controversy stems from the seed oils, the way in which they promote inflammation, right? We know that. And without inflammation, chronic inflammation in our bodies, then our bodies are better off, and they're not going to be set up for dis-ease. And so that's the reason that it's kind of all the buzz right now. And even the word inflammation is quite the buzzword, because we are finding over and over, just different ways in which inflammation is creeping into our bodies. And so if we are learning these over time, then let's not just learn. It's good to be taught, but let's put these ideas into action with our own lives, right? Because we want to just get rid of the Western diet as far as the processed foods, because really, again, the ratio of omega-3s and omega-6s, it just becomes too skewed, and those inflammatory responses in the body show up in a major way. So make informed choices, right? Make informed choices. And we just don't want you to have overconsumption and an imbalance of those omega-6 fatty acids, because you're going to be at risk for all kinds of disease. So again, read labels, get things out of your home that maybe you're tempted by that have those seed oils, and just start cooking your own food. And if you say, oh, I don't have time, I just want to encourage you, because we all have 24 hours in a day. So it's about making you your most important appointment. And you do deserve to make the time to prepare your meals, to have movement in your life, to have the time that it takes to really set yourself up for success for the entire week. And I would say batch cook. You've heard me talk about that before on this podcast. Batch cooking is the way to go. That way you're not in the kitchen all the time, but you are taking the time to make the meals that your body is going to thrive with best, without having those seed oils, without having the sugars, the excessive salt, without having I'm going to talk about whole food plant-based, but without using the dairy or the meat, that kind of thing. You're going to be able to find incredible recipes. And I have several that you can jump right in and grab on my 7-day meal plan and workout routine at wendiepett.com. So if you don't have that, I do have a few recipes there that you can grab. But man, there are so many online right now that don't have the oils, that don't have the excessive sugars or salts, that you will thrive when you are eating in this fashion. So make it maybe a goal this year, just to try one new recipe a week, and start to make that for yourself. And if your family's not on board, that's okay. Just focus on you right now, and more is caught than taught. So let them start to ask you questions like, oh, wow, what are you eating? And why are you eating this way? Or what's this recipe you're making? And why did you decide to make that? And, oh, can I have a taste of that? And you're like, sure. And then they're like, oh my gosh, that tastes so good. Can I have some? And then it just starts to create that ripple effect of goodness. So be bold and really just, again, make that time on your schedule to prepare your own meals, so that you're not in a pinch and you're not rushing to a quick fix, something, quick and easy, because making your own food, batch cooking, actually becomes quick and easy because you have it already there. But if you are always kind of behind the 8 ball, and you don't know what you're going to have for dinner, you don't know what you're going to have for lunch, you reach for a processed food option, and then that's where your body starts to break down after the accumulation of those processed foods, day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. So make the choice and start to change your habits. So I'm here to help you. If you are ready to get on board of a new lifestyle, and you want to get rid of seed oils, and you really want to understand how to cook with great effectiveness, as far as bringing in the proper phytochemicals and phytonutrients, so that you can thrive and not be in a chronic inflammatory response mode to the foods that you've been eating, then jump in on the getvisiblyfit.com program. It's only 7 weeks, and I promise you will see incredible results. We do before and after blood work. I give you meal plans, grocery list, recipes. We have an incredible community, and you get coaching calls as well as training modules that will encourage you and give you the education that you deserve to have, so that you understand why certain foods do what they do and how to shift your habits into healthy ones. So don't delay. Jump on board, getvisiblyfit.com. And if you have questions, let me know. You can email me at Wendie@wendiepett.com. All right. God bless you. And thanks so much for tuning into this episode. But the main thing is steer clear from those seed oils and watch your health just skyrocket. All right. Be blessed, and we'll catch you next week. Take care.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com. And thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing, not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a visibly fit day.